Many people lose thousands of dollars on their home purchase because they ask the wrong questions before they write their offer. And I'm not talking about negotiating price. I'm talking about strategy questions that most real estate agents don't even know to ask. Now, in the next little bit here, I'm going to walk you through 11 questions that will change how you approach every offer that you write. And if you're buying in Yakima, stick around because this could save you tens of thousands of dollars. So stick around. Question 1. What can make this offer more attractive that doesn't cost me money? Here's the thing. In a competitive market, everyone thinks that the only way to win is to offer more money. But that's not true. If you keep offering higher prices to win, you're going to overpay. So instead, ask this. What does the seller actually want that has nothing to do with price? Talk to your agent about asking the seller's agent directly. Some examples of things that don't really cost extra money. The first is a flexible closing date. Maybe they need to stay longer to find their next place or to give them some flexibility in moving into their next place. That doesn't cost you anything. Leaving furniture. Would it make it easier on them to leave a couple of pieces of furniture that they don't want the hassle of moving, or vice versa? Maybe it would help them if you bought some furniture from them. It might be worth it to them. Another thing is a short rent back after closing. You own the house, but they stay for 30 days while they transition. It gives them peace of mind. These are the kinds of things that show that you're a serious buyer and they cost you basically $0. Your realtor should be having these conversations for you. And if they're not, that is kind of a red flag. Question 2, do I actually need the full inspection period? I know inspections are important, but here's what I see buyers do wrong. They write an offer with a 10-day inspection period, which is kind of the default here in Washington. And the seller can sometimes see that as a red flag. It tells them that you're not serious and it tells them you're going to nickel and dime them over every little thing, or they're not going to rest easy until that inspection period is over. And that could be as long as 10 days. So here's a pro move that actually works. You contact an inspector and you get tentatively on their schedule now. Once you know when they can actually come, you can shorten your inspection period in the offer to 1 day more than it takes them to get there. And here's the key. If they find something that needs additional specialists to check out, like a foundation expert or an electrician or a roofing contractor, that time is actually separate in the contract. You usually have 5 additional days if you need to seek specialist opinions. So why does this matter? The seller sees that you're organized and serious. You're not wasting their time with a long inspection period. You're efficient. They were going to have that monkey off their back quickly. And that confidence play can actually help you win offers in competitive situations. I've used this one successfully many times. Plus, fast action tells sellers you're not going to back out over something minor. Before you even get to the inspection, there's a question you need to ask yourself about whether this house is even the right one for you. And a lot of people skip this and then they regret it for years. So question 3 is this actually the right house for me? You found a house. It's beautiful. Maybe it has a brand new kitchen or custom built-ins, and now you're in love. But here's the hard truth. One pretty feature can blind you to whether this house is actually the right fit for your life and lifestyle. So take this time now before writing the offer to go back to your needs list, the one you made at the very beginning of your journey when you were clear-headed about what you actually needed in a home. And ask yourself, does this house check the boxes that matter most? Or am I falling in love with one feature like the new kitchen while ignoring something important, like it is a secondary or tertiary level school district for your family, or the commute, or the neighborhood? Because here's what happens. You buy the house, you love it for 2 years because you love that new kitchen, and then you realize that it's in the wrong school district and it's causing problems, or the commute is slowly killing you, or you hate the vibe of the neighborhood and now you're stuck. So pause, really ask yourself, if this house didn't have that one amazing feature, would I still want it? If the answer is no, don't write the offer yet. And that's important information. Okay, so you've decided that this is the right house, and now we need to talk about the money side. And a lot of people get this part wrong too, so let's start with your monthly payment. The fourth question that we should ask before writing an offer is, what's my monthly payment actually going to be? You have a budget. You said yes to a certain monthly payment. So before you write that offer, you need to run the actual numbers with your lender using the actual annual tax amount, the actual insurance for that house, calculate your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, PMI, if it applies. Does it fit? Does it actually work? Because two houses that are the same price but in different locations may have wildly different taxes. So you need to make sure it still fits in your monthly budget. Now, if it's tight or if it's over, here's what most people don't know. You can ask the seller to help and it doesn't have to come off the price. And here's how. You can ask for closing cost assistance. Closing cost assistance does come off the seller's net, but it doesn't come off the list price. And that money can buy down your interest rate, which helps lower your payment. Or you can use it to pay off your PMI, your private mortgage insurance, early, which also lowers what you pay every single month. When I got closing cost assistance from my sellers, that was more than the cost of my closing costs. I used the excess to help pay off the PMI, and it reduced the payment on my home almost $200 a month. And just so you know, this matters because closing costs benefit you way more than a price reduction. Now, I'm going to explain why in a few minutes, but just for now, know that these conversations need to happen before you write the offer, not after. Now, there's one cost that a lot of Yakima buyers don't budget for at all, and it can vary by thousands of dollars a year depending on where you are, so let me tell you about it. And that is into question 5. What do the utilities actually cost? So here's something that does surprise people. Utilities can vary wildly in Yakima, and most buyers don't even think to ask about them before they write the offer. Now, this is especially important depending on where the property is and what the water source is that it uses. Are you on city water or a well? If you're on a well, you could have wildly different costs than someone on Nob Hill water or city water. Some wells are metered and some are not. Do you have irrigation? This is huge in Yakima. If the property has irrigation rights, that can drastically decrease the amount of money you pay per year for your irrigation. If you have to water off city water or off your well directly, that can be expensive depending on where it's coming from. Watering your lawn here in Yakima, where we have so much sunshine, isn't cheap. And if you're not prepared for the bill, it's a shock. Here in my house, we pay an extra amount every single year as part of our property taxes for access to our irrigation here on the Yakima-Rosa Irrigation Canal. So what about power, gas, sewer? These fluctuate based on the season too. Now here's how to find that information out. You can call the utility companies directly. They can give you the average monthly costs based on the address. Most of them. The other path is you can also ask the seller. They're the best source. They know exactly what they're paying for everything, and they've lived through a full year of seasons, so they know the highs and lows. Now, get these numbers before you actually write the offer so you have a better understanding of how it fits comfortably within your budget. It's part of your actual monthly cost owning this house. Okay, so now we're getting into the market strategy stuff, and this is where you're going to get the competitive advantage. Question 6 is about understanding the battlefield before you go in. So question 6 is, what's the current offer landscape? Before you write your offer, you need to understand what's already happening with this property. Your agent should be asking the listing agent these specific questions. 1, how long has it been on the market? Of course, they can look this up themselves. They don't actually have to ask the agent, but they should be looking, and this should be informing the decision. Is it brand new to the market, or has it been sitting for months? Has it been relisted multiple times by different agents? That tells you everything you need to know about how motivated the seller is. Have there been any prior offers that didn't come together? And this is a really golden question, because if there have been any offers that didn't come together and fell apart, what were the terms of that offer? Did they fall apart over price, over inspection contingencies, over the closing timeline? Maybe the sellers have a hard line in the sand on something. And then you also need to ask, why does this matter? Because when you know this, you know what battles are worth fighting and which ones aren't. You don't waste time negotiating over something they've already said no to. For example, if they are buying new construction and the home is not going to be ready in time for a closing that works for your buyers, are you able to do a rent back? Maybe they're not willing to consider an offer that doesn't have that rent back because they have no other place to go. Another question is, what's the average days on the market for homes at this price point? And this is important. You don't want to ask what's the average days on market for the overall market. Homes priced like this one. If this house is right at the average or under, the market is moving fast. If it's way over, that tells you something different. That information tells you how aggressive or conservative you can be with your offer. If the home has been sitting for 90 days at this price, you have leverage. And if it's been 3 days and you're one of 5 offers, obviously you don't. The market intel is everything. And speaking of market intel, there's another piece of information most buyers completely skip, and it could be the difference between overpaying and getting a deal. And that's question 7. Is the price actually supported by comparable sales? Now, here's something I do see buyers do all the time. They look at the Zillow estimate and they assume that's what the house is worth. Please don't do that. Ask your agent for a real market analysis or to give you a few comparable properties that support the price. Not Zillow, not Redfin, a real analysis from an agent who actually knows the Yakima market. Is this price actually supported by comparable homes that have recently sold in the area, or is the seller asking for more than the market supports? And this really matters, obviously, because if the price is over market value, you do have leverage. They're probably not getting as many showings or no offers, and your appraisal might come in lower, which could give you negotiating room there as well. And if the price is at or below market, you might need to be more aggressive or offer something else to stand out. If the price is way under market for some reason, you first need to take a step back and try to understand why. Is there something wrong with the house that you're not aware of yet? Or the location? Maybe it has really bad neighbors and you didn't notice it when you were there. Or maybe it has a traffic problem you're not aware of because of the time of day you were there. Your agent has access to real data, so use it. Don't just trust what you see online. The way an agent does a market analysis is vastly different than the way Zillow or Redfin does. And here is the thing. Once you know that the price is supported, you can answer the next question, which is the smartest negotiating question you can ask. This is where people either get really smart about their offer or they leave tens of thousands of dollars on the table. So pay attention to this one. Question 8 is, should I ask for a price reduction or a closing costs concession, or is their loan assumable? So let's say you have some negotiating room. Maybe the comps say you should get $10,000 off this property, and it's sitting on the market and you have no competition. So you ask yourself, should I ask for $10,000 off the price, or should I ask for $10,000 in closing costs help from the seller? It's the same to the seller. At the end of the day, it's still a $10,000 low offer, right? Because it's still coming off their net. So here's what most people get wrong. A $10,000 reduction in the purchase price might lower your monthly payment by $50. That's it, $50. But here's what a $10,000 closing cost concession can do. It can pay off your PMI completely. If you're putting down less than 20%, you're paying PMI, and that's an extra $100 to $200 every single month. And that's money down the drain that you never get back. That's not going towards equity. That's not going towards your taxes. It's nothing. So pay that off with a seller concession and your payment drops significantly. You could also buy down your interest rate. A lower interest rate means a lower monthly payment forever, not just for a year, forever. This can lower your payment by $200, $300 or more every month. Or another option is to do a 2-1 buy down. Use the seller's concession to lower your interest rate for a year or 2. Year 1, you pay a lower rate. Year 2, you pay a slightly higher rate. And year 3, you're at market rate. This gives you breathing room when you're tightest on cash in those really early years. So here's what you do. You ask your loan officer, what's my maximum seller contribution on my loan type? And it varies depending on if you have an FHA, VA, or conventional loan. Then you ask your agent, can we ask for that as a closing cost concession instead of a price reduction? But wait, there is even one more question to ask that could change everything having to do with this loan. And it's ask if there's an assumable loan on the property. An assumable loan can be an absolute game changer. If the seller has a loan on the property that you can take over and their interest rate is lower than the current market rate, this can be an absolutely phenomenal deal. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the life of a loan in savings. So you need to ask these 3 things. Does this property have an assumable loan? If so, what's the loan type? what's the current interest rate and what's the remaining balance. And if they have a 3% loan and the market is at 6% interest rates and you have enough down payment to assume it, you could save thousands and thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. It's worth asking every single time. All right, so we got the strategy side like really nailed down here, but now we need to make sure you can actually afford this house, not just today, but in 5 more years. And that's question 9. What happens if my payment goes up? This is something that I see people forget to think about. Your principal and interest are locked in, but your property taxes, your insurance, your utilities, those go up over time and they can go up a lot. And if you're in the kind of field where you're not getting consistent pay increases, that can be a problem. So ask yourself, if my payment increases over the next 5 years, can I reasonably handle it? Or would a significant jump be devastating? Now, this is especially important if you're stretching your budget or your income isn't stable. Like I said, you need to know that you can handle this house not just today, but down the road. Because if you can't, you're going to be house poor and potentially worse. And that's a terrible place to be. Question 10. What's the age of the major systems? Before you offer, you should try to know as much as you can about what you're buying into. The HVAC system, how old is it? Does it work reliably? The roof, when was it last replaced? How many years does it have left? Some of these things you're going to find out during the inspection. And you can also review the disclosures, but you want to be paying attention to these things. The electrical panel, especially if it's in an older or historic home like we have here in Yakima, mid-century homes especially. When was it last updated? Is this panel safe? Water heater, plumbing, foundation, all of those things. And one thing that's really Yakima-specific and people always miss is if you're closing after the end of September, ask if the sprinkler system has been winterized. And if it hasn't, you really need to put that in the contract. Otherwise, you could close on a house and end up with cracked irrigation pipes when the water freezes. And that can be a really expensive surprise. Question 11. What if life changes? You should be building in contingencies. So real things happen during the process of buying a home. What if you lose your job? What if there's a health issue or health scare? What if your circumstances change? Your contract needs to protect you. That's what contingencies are for. So you want to make sure you have inspection contingencies. Obviously, we want to have an inspection. We want to do our due diligence of the property. We also want to have appraisal contingencies. The house needs to be worth what you're paying for it. Most of the time, most of us are not in a position where we want to pay more for a home than it can reasonably appraise for. You also want financing contingencies. You really need to actually get pre-approved before you purchase a home, and financing contingency, if it has not yet been waived, can protect you in case of a job loss. And honestly, anything else that matters for your peace of mind. Your realtor should be building these into your offer as a matter of course. You're not being paranoid, you're being smart. I very rarely have ever taken any of these out of an offer, and always at a buyer's insistence and with knowing the risks. So you found a house. Writing an offer is really exciting, but slow down and ask yourself these 11 questions, and your realtor should be helping you think through every single one of them. The market stuff, the strategy stuff, the money stuff, all of it. Because here's the thing, the buyers who make the smartest offers aren't the ones who offer the most money necessarily. They're the ones who ask the right questions. And if you're buying in Yakima and you want someone in your corner who's going to walk you through this process, not just push you to the finish line, let's talk. Again, I'm Corie Burke, your Yakima Valley real estate expert. And if you enjoyed this video, stick around a little bit longer. You can subscribe, or YouTube thinks you might like this video over here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.